You're really good at this game, though.
Hey everyone, this is Carbon. I bring you another standard match. Today we have my teammate Joshua once again piloting my Avantgarda deck. Very literally piloting. I'm going to pretend that Joshua is sort of period for this video, I guess. But anyways, he's going to be going up against Overlord. And this is actually going to be the final round of our locals. So at this point, I'm kind of worried because I told Joshua if he managed to get first place with his deck, that I would take Avantgarda to BCS. And it's very worrying because it's looking like Joshua might actually be able to close things out and force me to play this deck. Although I wouldn't be terribly disappointed with that. I still think Avantgarda is a lot better than people give it credit for. Anyways, getting into the match, we do see the cycle card used on the Overlord side, as well as the going second draw, drawing a total of 2 cards, running into the grade 2 Dester, searching out the copy of the grade 1 order, and then going to be using that habitable zone that we discarded, of course, to soul blast out the grade 1, not the grade 0, because you do actually need that in soul for whatever reason. As soon as Joshua finishes shuffling up here, we're gonna go ahead and just be playing that, drawing another card. Just another reason why Avantgarda is actually, I think, a lot better than people give it credit for. Everything just like replaces itself. You ride up, you search, you deck thin, calling the Hathaway, using its skill counterblast, draw a card, essentially just replacing itself just instantly. Looks like we did actually open up with the OT there. I can definitely see it in the hand. I feel like whenever I play Avantgarda, it always goes one of 2 ways. You either draw into OT, like in their first 2 turns, or you offensively check it and just win. Anyways, we see Joshua being a very bad player there and drive checking the card that he was going to search out next turn, meaning that we're not going to be able to get anything. Although, that does technically mean we could call out the grade 2, and then I believe with the ruling, I haven't checked the comments quite yet, that last video is not quite up. I think you can actually call out the grade 2, but as we are going to be seeing a little bit later in the game, it's not really going to matter. Anyways, of course, using Hathaway to countercharge, so basically just having free counterblast, or just a free draw in most cases, using the bar skill to counterblast 1 and search out the PG, calling the Dragon Empire Cat, interestingly enough, soul blasting the bar and then putting the undo back just to draw 1 card. Personally, not like a great play that I would see. I tend to like my 20k shield, so we'll see how that turns out. Oh, another thing that I was meaning to check, we're going to be keeping track of how many offensive triggers Joshua is able to hit. I believe right now his count is 1 because we didn't get anything off of that drive check. In fact, we got the exact opposite of a critical trigger, that being the card that we wanted to search out next turn. So we are 1 for 1 with 0 drive triggers in the drive checks. Gonna be using Avantgarda's skill, putting in the dusting, your typical turn 3 play, calling out the operator Freiheit. Probably debating whether we want to use the skill. We do have 2 persona rides in hand, so we honestly don't need a persona ride, but at the same time, you know, deck thinning is deck winning, so we might as well just use it in order to like deck thin out 1 card and make it that much easier to hit crits. So it looks like we're debating on whether we want to use it. Personally, I tend, like I say a lot, I find myself not needing it just because you tend to draw into your persona rides naturally with all the draw and search power. I don't ever really have that hard of a time getting to Persona Ride. It looks like we are going to be using the Freiheit. I believe we discarded a Persona Ride to search out another copy of Persona Ride, which is totally fine. Personally, if we had drawn into the Gradius, that would have been a much better discard target because you don't want to be using Gradius to Persona Ride. It's kind of just like a desperation move there. But we still do get to deck thin by 1 again. I mean, we've already deck thinned, was that 2, and then drawn like 3 cards from the Hathaway and the Habitable Zone. So deck is starting to get a little bit more compressed, so theoretically it should be that much easier to hit triggers, but we'll see how Joshua does hitting those triggers. We were supposed to add that card to hand, and I think we just put it on top of the Vanguard, so very cool. Gonna be swinging for a clean 38. Definitely the correct play because you want to, your first swing on your first grade 3 turn, it has to hit in order to restand. So that's why you definitely need to, just remembering that that card's supposed to be in hand. but you want it to hit, so you want it to be as powerful as possible, so you always want to use the dusting. You always want to be boosting with the Hathaway. So you're at 38, and that's basically PG or bust right there. So we got another no trigger and another no trigger. Double habitable zone. Looks like Joshua needs to work on his shuffling skills, because both those cards used to be on the bottom of the deck, and he somehow managed to get them to the top. And he was going to be swinging with the Avantgarda, only 28 this time. We did hit into a defensive trigger, meaning that Freiheit's not going to be able to hit unless we hit a trigger, but we're going to do our third drive check for this turn, and hitting into another blank. So, of course, that is going to be taken, and then that's going to be the end of the turn. So we're actually going to have a little bit of a cut here. My phone ran out of storage space, so I had to take it down. And I just told them to go ahead and keep playing. But I guess to quickly catch things up, we did ride up to the Overlord. We got the regular copy of Overlord in the Soul with the Anchor Heat Dragon, or whatever it's called. Back to Joshua. Persona Road. Played Death Winds, called the Habitable Zone. Got the refurbishment dock, played it, drew a card, and then probably played the Death Winds, put it to Soul, and then called out the Lady, and I think we intercepted with Freiheit, or he got attacked into last turn, so that's why he's no longer there. So anyways, going back to Overlord, Overlord is going to be starting off with a Persona Ride swinging for a 33. We are at 2 damage, so we do need some CB for the next turn. Unfortunately, our opponent is going to be hitting into a heal trigger and healing down to 3. We do thankfully get a defensive trigger of our own. We didn't actually get to see Joshua's drive checks last turn, but just because I know he's such a good player, I'm going to add 3 more counters to his no drive checks. I'm just going to assume he had triple blank, and that's why he was only able to push his opponent to 4 instead of, killing him. But anyways, Overlord swinging here with some pretty strong swings. This other Overlord column swinging for 31, and then that Nahalem column is Nahalem column. Very cool. I love rhyming. Swinging for 38. Thanks to that defensive trigger, we are going to be able to stave off those attacks with just a 15k and a front trigger. Being able to go into this next turn. Persona Ride, that last Persona Ride that I believe we have in our hand, giving the plus 10k to the front row, as Persona Rides are tend to do. Playing the dusting, it is your second Persona Ride turn, so you do have to use the dusting this turn, using Avantgarda to give itself 5k, drawing the card and another 10k, shutting down blitzes as well as any intercepts, so that Nahalem can't intercept this turn. So we'll see if we can manage to close things out. Unfortunately, we did get a heal, but look at that Overlord's hand. Holy crackers. How is it that big? I mean, I guess how kind of prevents you from minusing from your drive checks, but still, yeesh. I guess that's the power of drive checking and not losing drives. But anyways, we do actually have a second copy of the Lady, so we are able to search out the Death Winds again. Unfortunately, I don't think there's any left in deck, so we did have to get one from drop. But we are looking at our pretty ideal board. We have the refurbishment dock. We've got that habitable zone, which is now a booster. Looks like we're going to be committing that, whatever his name is, the card that my tech 2 of. I'm going to be using its skill to Soul Blast 1, and Joshua's going to be doing things incorrectly here. He actually discarded and then drew. That card is actually good, unlike the Hermina Ride line, and it actually lets you draw and then discard, which is the correct way to do a skill like that. Anyways, another little misplay that I think here, boosting with Habitable Zone. Your Vanguard is already at 38. I think you need to save it for the second swing, just because you want more pressure on your second swing since you only have 1 drive check. But I guess we're just been doing that. Normally, you would only do that if you need the CB, but clearly we have 1 extra CB. I don't know why we're boosting with Hathaway right now. But we are going to be hit with a PG, so that attack's not going to be going. Let's see, another drive check, another blank, and another blank. What is that up to right now? Let's see, 3, 6, 8, I don't know. You'll see it on screen. I'm going to put a little counter for you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy watching Joshua being terrible at Vanguard and not able to actually hit his drive checks. But of course, we do have double Lady, so these columns are getting progressively more and more swole. If we had actually been on a Death Winds turn, they would have been even bigger by an extra 10k. But swinging the Vanguard for 38, gonna be taking it, hitting into a defensive trigger. Very unfortunate. So even though we have, what is this, like 40 and 45k columns, it's not really gonna be as impactful. This 40k swing is just gonna be a 20k guard thanks to that. We're going to be guarding with a 5k for some reason. guarding with that. And ooh, major misplay there. You should have seen that, Joshua. Did you see that? That man just intercepted when he should not have been able to. So if Joshua loses this, it is totally on him for missing that. Also, wasn't that 33 against a 40k swing? Am I missing something here? I guess we're bad, or Joshua is. Yeah, that's definitely it. But anyways, this other swing is 40k. Let's see. Let me double check my math. 20, 30, yeah, 45. Both of them should be that number because they still get 5k. And that time we guarded appropriately with just the 20k and then another 5k. Calling out the Burning Horn Dragon, using the skill to counterblast D1, checking top 7, adding an Overlord, and then if you don't get a counter charge. So getting a copy of the original Overlord. Honestly, at this point, just deck thinning, which is pretty good. Although at this point, Overlord had a lot of triggers out. We saw like 3 defensives. If we take a look at his hand, we see OT and like 5 more triggers. So hopefully we don't see too many more triggers out of Overlord this turn. But we do have 4 drive checks, so we'll see how that turns out. Unfortunately, Avantgarda running a little bit low on cards there. No PGs. I believe we have at least like 1 order in hand, meaning no shield value. We do have the double intercept, but ideally you don't want to actually intercept with those cards. Because those are your best attackers, and assuming you have a next turn, you can just death wins and have a very strong turn. Although I think we're out of Persona Ride, so maybe we don't have a good next turn. Yeah, I don't see a Persona Ride in there because we ditched it earlier. We still do have a chance to draw into the Gradius though, and then we could technically use the grade 1 in order to get our restand ability. But I guess we're just calculating, because that Burning Horn column is very powerful, and the other one is just like a 21, so it's not that powerful. But unfortunately, we hit into a critical trigger there, deciding to not guard and getting double blanks on the defensives, and then swing the Overlord again for 40. These are pretty big columns. Let's see, that's 28 and 21, so we could double intercept, and then we need a 20k guard for that second swing. So that's also depending on triggers. Assuming we get no triggers here, there is some possibility of living here. Just gotta decide how we can guard. What is the only way we have to live? So we have 2 cards there, which I'm going to assume are shield value cards. 4 more cards left in hand, one of them being the Death Winds. So only a max of 5 cards in hand with shield value, as well as the double intercept. So we do need to guard for, let's see, that's 30k, 20k, 50k, and then another 10k, 60k. We would need 60k shield in total in order to guard this, assuming no triggers. And I'm not sure, but I think we might have it if I can see 15k shield and another 5k. I definitely see a habitable zone, so that plus a 15k would make 20, and then the double intercept would be enough. But looks like we're gonna guard a 1 to pass, flipping over a front trigger and then another front trigger to put salt in the wound, getting a heal trigger for the 6 damage, but unfortunately that is a double critical swing, so we are not going to be able to live that. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to do all those YouTube things, like, comment, subscribe, and I don't have to play Avantgarda for BCS.